Welcome to the channel, where today we unravel a coin mystery so intense, so riddled with secrets, that it could change everything you thought you knew about modern coinage, because what if a small, overlooked mistake made during a routine minting operation transformed an ordinary 2011 D Jefferson Nickel into the most valuable coin ever struck in U.S. history, a piece that bypassed logic, defied the odds, and shattered auction records, not because it was meant to, but because something went wildly, inexplicably wrong behind the scenes, something so subtle and yet so significant that only the most meticulous collectors even suspected its existence, and once they did, the chase for this nickel became an obsession, a national treasure hunt rooted in anomaly and shadow, pulling in historians, numismatists, and conspiracy theorists alike as they tried to decode how a Denver-minted 5-cent coin could possess a set of features so bizarre, including off-center strikes, ghostly double dies, misplaced mint marks, strange alloy compositions, and even rumored planchet swaps, that it began to rewrite the narrative of what the U.S. Mint was capable of producing and what it might have wanted to cover up, especially in the post-2010 era when pressure for mass production was higher than ever, automation ruled the mints, and human oversight became the weak link where strange things began slipping through, like the tale of the mint employee who allegedly noticed a batch of 2011 nickels with a reverse die meant for a different year, or the urban legend of a sealed bag found in a decommissioned vault containing dozens of these oddities, a bag mysteriously marked for destruction but somehow spared, and inside, several 2011 D Jefferson Nickels that didn't match any known die pairing or metallurgical profile, some even believed to be struck on blank planchets meant for foreign currency, setting off a firestorm in the collecting world and sparking endless debates at coin shows and online forums where top experts clashed over whether these were genuine mint errors, trial strikes, pattern coins, or perhaps unauthorized experiments that were never supposed to leave the facility, yet did, and now fetch unimaginable prices when they surface, often in the most unexpected places like a widow's attic or a kid's lunch money stash. With one story telling of a man who unknowingly spent one at a vending machine only to be contacted months later by a collector who traced it back through a chain of eBay sales and identified a reverse-cut break and obverse clash unique to that specimen, linking it to what's now known as the Phantom Die Group, a classification for 2011 D nickels that share microscopic markers unlisted in the official mint reports but traceable through high-resolution coin photography and digital overlays, tools which have revealed an entire subcatalog of rogue die states, suggesting not a one-off error but a sustained, possibly intentional deviation during a limited run, and while the mint has never confirmed or denied the possibility, the growing evidence includes metallurgical tests showing irregular nickel-copper ratios, experts discovering faint doubling on Jefferson's eye and collar, and edge readings that suggest misaligned pressure calibrations, all of which point to a period of technical chaos within the Denver Mint that may have allowed a handful of these coins to escape with unmatched features and thus legendary status. But here's where the mystery deepens, because even among these anomalies, there's one particular coin, shrouded in myth, known simply as the ghost nickel, said to have both obverse and reverse struck with incompatible dies from different decades and bearing a die crack in the shape of a lightning bolt, a coin so elusive that only one grainy photo is rumored to exist, and its current whereabouts are unknown, fueling stories of theft, internal cover-ups, and a collector who once received death threats after claiming to own it, yet never producing the coin for verification, and while some dismiss the ghost nickel as folklore, others point to Freedom of Information Act requests that returned heavily redacted documents mentioning unauthorized die use and anomalous Jefferson strike pattern within the 2011 production logs, suggesting there's more beneath the surface than officials want to admit, especially when former employees, now whistleblowers, describe late-night shifts and unscheduled press runs that weren't logged in the standard ledger, all hinting at a deliberate manipulation or perhaps even a rogue experiment in alloy testing that went awry, and when those coins entered circulation, likely by accident or defiance, they instantly became holy grails for a niche but fervent community of treasure hunters, one of whom reportedly sold his entire collection to fund a nationwide search, logging every 2011 D nickel he encountered, comparing strike pressure, die fatigue, even minute rim distortions in a desperate attempt to triangulate the origin of what he believed was the first breach, the moment the ghost nickel escaped the system, and it is this kind of raw passion, the kind that keeps collectors awake at night, that has turned the 2011 D Jefferson Nickel from just another coin into an obsession wrapped in layers of secrecy, improbable luck, and silent rivalry among elite numismatists, some of whom have paid six figures for pieces with only the faintest anomaly, a ghost of a clash mark or a whisper of a rotated die, while others cling to theories that go beyond the mint itself, speculating that the coin may tie into a larger sequence of unexplained errors spanning from 2009 to 2012 that include similar mysteries across multiple denominations, suggesting a systemic fault or covert testing protocol, possibly related to changes in blank sourcing or clandestine automation trials, which if proven, would not only elevate the 2011 D Jefferson Nickel to untouchable legendary status but also force a historic reckoning within the mint and rewrite portions of modern coinage history, and as the community continues to piece together this intricate puzzle, with every new find, auction, and anonymous tip adding another thread to the narrative, the legend of the 2011 D Nickel only grows, compelling collectors, historians, and even skeptics to look just a little closer at every 5-cent piece they come across, because who knows? The next rarest and most valuable coin in America might just be lying in plain sight, tucked in a coin jar or lost in change, waiting for someone like you to uncover its secrets. So if this story ignited your curiosity and you want to dive deeper into the world of coin mysteries, rare errors, and millionaire-making discoveries, make sure you subscribe, like, and join us for the next unbelievable tale in the wild, enigmatic universe of U.S. currency. Next, 1997 Jefferson Nickels, where today we unravel one of the most captivating and mysterious tales in the world of rare American coinage, a story that begins with a humble 1997 Jefferson nickel but quickly spirals into a web of speculation, obsession, and jaw-dropping discovery. What if a small mistake at the U.S. Mint turned an ordinary coin into the most valuable nickel ever struck, a coin so rare and misunderstood that its very existence challenges everything collectors thought they knew about late 20th century numismatics? Picture this, a nondescript pocket change nickel, casually spent at a gas station in the late 90s, passed through countless hands, tossed into jars, lost between couch cushions, its surface bearing the marks of everyday wear, but beneath that wear lies a secret, a minting error so catastrophic and so profoundly rare that experts whisper about it with awe, some calling it a ghost coin, others a glitch in the system, and still others suspecting it was never meant to be released at all. Now, imagine stumbling upon such a coin, a 1997 Jefferson nickel with not just one but multiple anomalies, off-center striking, die clashes, a phantom D mint mark overlapping a ghostly P, or reverse die normally reserved for proofs, or even worse, a composition error that resulted in a nickel being struck on the wrong planchet altogether, perhaps a copper nickel clad intended for a foreign coin. A mishap so improbable that its odds are measured in the tens of millions to one, and yet, here we are, diving deep into the layered mystery of how such a coin could even exist in the first place. How could quality control at the Denver Mint in 1997, a facility renowned for its tight production standards, allow such a numismatic oddity to escape? Was it human error, a malfunctioning press, or a rogue employee with access to classified dies, acting on impulse or curiosity, slipping a forbidden strike into circulation like a breadcrumb for future generations to follow? Theories abound, including the tantalizing idea that a special experimental strike was done to test new die alignment techniques, or that during the chaotic weeks of equipment calibration, an entire roll of errors was accidentally, or deliberately, released into the wild before being recalled and mostly destroyed, leaving behind a mere handful of survivors, or perhaps just one, and it is this singular, possibly unique, 1997 Jefferson nickel that has ignited a firestorm among collectors and historians alike, drawing in coin hunters, conspiracy theorists, and even retired mint workers trying to piece together a puzzle that has haunted the hobby for decades. Eyewitness accounts began to surface in the early 2000s, with whispers of a coin seen at a flea market bearing characteristics never catalogued. An unusually deep strike on the obverse with doubling around Jefferson's collar and bizarre frosting across his cheekbone, while the reverse appeared slightly rotated, and Monticello's dome displayed a pronounced doubling with an unusual bulge to the right of the steps, prompting speculation of a misaligned collar die or even an experimental hubbing technique never officially disclosed, and the material itself. Metallurgical tests performed in secret by a private collector who claimed to have possession of this coin revealed traces of zinc and manganese inconsistent with standard nickel composition, suggesting either a planchet intended for a different denomination or an outright mix-up involving foreign coin blanks, a revelation that only deepened the enigma, raising questions about whether the coin was a deliberate test strike, a minting mistake, or an unauthorized experiment that slipped through the cracks. With each new clue, the value skyrockets, not just in dollars but in emotional gravity, as seasoned numismatists begin to argue on forums, publish op-eds, and speak in hushed tones about the possibility that this coin could break auction records if authenticated and verified, a coin that could rival the fame of the 1913 Liberty Head nickel or the 1943 copper penny, not because it was intended to be rare but precisely because it was never supposed to exist at all. And then there's the story of the anonymous Nevada man who claims he inherited a peculiar 1997 nickel from his grandfather, a retired mint worker who allegedly smuggled out a few test strikes during the final years of his employment and kept them hidden in an old tobacco tin marked, "Rejects," and while some dismiss this as folklore, photos of the coin he later posted online caused a frenzy, showing a strike with clearly overlapping mint marks and a reverse design that did not match any known 1997 die pairing, prompting some to declare it the real deal while others accused him of forgery. But one renowned grading expert with decades of experience reportedly traveled to meet him, examined the coin under magnification and UV light, and was said to have walked away pale and stunned, saying only, "I've never seen anything like it." From there the legend grew, and collectors began scouring eBay, estate sales, and rolls of bank-wrapped nickels, hoping to find another anomaly, and several more surfaced with minor errors, die chips, off-center strikes, partial collar errors, but none matching the complexity and mystery of the so-called Phantom 1997, yet each sighting added fuel to the theory that more of these elusive coins are still out there, hidden in circulation, perhaps locked away in piggy banks or forgotten inside forgotten safe deposit boxes, waiting to be discovered by someone who realizes what they truly have. And what's most shocking is that the US Mint has neither confirmed nor denied any such error in 1997 production records, refusing to comment officially despite multiple FOIA requests and media inquiries, leading some to suspect a deeper cover-up or at least an unwillingness to draw attention to a potential lapse in protocol during a time when new equipment was being tested and old dies were being phased out, adding even more mystique and tension to the hunt. And let's not forget the wildest theory of them all, that the 1997 Jefferson Nickel in question was the result of a mint employee intentionally creating a hybrid coin, using mismatched dies and an unauthorized planchet, perhaps as a secret mark of protest, tribute, or even a farewell message embedded in metal, a mysterious act of defiance against a bureaucracy that often fails to acknowledge the artistry and precision required in coin production. This theory, though far-fetched, is bolstered by odd markings found under the microscope on one example, faint initials or perhaps tool marks resembling letters. Almost as if someone tried to sign their work discreetly, knowing it would one day be scrutinized by sharp-eyed collectors. And as more stories unfold, like the young boy in Kansas who found a similar nickel while counting change for a school fundraiser, or the retired coin dealer who claims to have seen one in 1999 but passed on buying it for a few dollars, a decision he now regrets every single day, the 1997 Jefferson Nickel continues to gain mythical status, its value no longer just tied to metal or mintage, but to mystery, to myth, to the thrill of the chase, the unknown history hidden beneath worn surfaces, the collective obsession of those who believe that one forgotten coin might hold the key to a lost chapter in American minting history. And as auction houses begin to place million-dollar estimates on authenticated anomalies and grading services sharpen their focus on coins from this overlooked year, the stakes couldn't be higher, because in a world where value is driven by rarity, story, and the emotions they stir, the 1997 Jefferson Nickel might just be the holy grail of modern American coin collecting, the one coin that proves even the smallest mistake, the most unnoticed detail, can become a legend, a treasure, a symbol of how the tiniest human error, accidental or otherwise, can ripple across decades and make history. So before you dismiss that nickel in your pocket as just spare change, take a closer look, because somewhere out there, a coin exists that defies all logic, rewrites the rules, and could turn an ordinary day into the beginning of the greatest numismatic mystery ever told. And if you want to be the first to hear about the next shocking discovery, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon because the hunt isn't over, it's only just beginning. Next, 1984, P. Jefferson, where today we delve into a story so perplexing, so jaw-droppingly bizarre, that it could rewrite everything you thought you knew about coin collecting, the U.S. Mint, and hidden treasures lurking in plain sight, because what if a single overlooked mistake in a 1984 P. Jefferson nickel turned an ordinary coin into one of the most valuable, mysterious, and sought-after pieces in numismatic history? What if a single slip-up at the Philadelphia Mint didn't just create a coin, but unleashed a legend, a whispered secret among collectors and historians who believe this coin isn't just rare, it might be unique, a one-in-a-billion anomaly whose mere existence defies logic? Imagine a nickel so seemingly mundane that it might have passed through vending machines, pockets, or piggy banks for decades before someone, perhaps an unassuming metal detector hobbyist or an elderly hoarder, spotted the nearly invisible inconsistencies, a shifted mint mark here, an overstamped design there, a ghostly image of Monticello doubled in eerie silence under high magnification, and suddenly realized this wasn't just a coin, it was a riddle wrapped in copper and nickel alloy, a silent witness to a government mistake never fully acknowledged and possibly even covered up. As we peel back the layers of this mystery, we'll explore not just the incredible minting errors that make this 1984 P. Jefferson nickel stand apart, such as the dramatic full-step variations, extreme die clashes, ghost doubling on Jefferson's portrait, off-center strikes, or even partial planchet laminations, but also the theories that surround its journey. Was it an intentional test strike that accidentally entered circulation? A sabotage production run by a rogue employee? Or could it have been part of a classified experimental batch meant for a secret project, then mistakenly released? Stories have surfaced of collectors paying upwards of 5 figures for what they believed was the real deal, only to discover later that their coin was a clever counterfeit, or worse, that the coin they discarded years ago, without ever knowing its hidden value, may have been the original 1984 P. Mystery Nickel, now worth more than a luxury car or even a small home. Experts in the field have debated its die characteristics under powerful microscopes, arguing over barely perceptible doubling in the lettering, whether the coin's alloy composition holds anomalies not found in other nickels of the same year, and if the strike pressure patterns indicate a rogue die was used, a die that may have been quietly destroyed, undocumented, and erased from official mint records to avoid embarrassment or suspicion. Consider the fact that over 1 billion Jefferson nickels were struck in 1984 at the Philadelphia Mint, but only a vanishingly small number, possibly fewer than a dozen, exhibit the signs of what has now become known in hushed circles as the phantom strike, a term coined by collectors who believe this particular variant was never meant to see the light of day. And then there are the stories: the Texas man who stumbled upon a suspicious 1984 P. nickel in a parking lot and later sold it for $15,000, the elderly woman in Vermont whose son tossed her jar of old nickels, not realizing one of them had a misplaced mint mark above Jefferson's shoulder. A misplacement so rare it had only been seen once before and was believed to be an engraving error from a faulty master hub, the collector in Ohio who claims he once held a specimen with ghostly doubling so precise it appeared Jefferson had 2 noses, but lost it in a coin trade gone horribly wrong. Government documents obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests hint at internal confusion in 1984, a series of conflicting memos regarding die maintenance, unexplained machine downtime, and a brief halt in nickel production due to mechanical inconsistencies that some now believe directly relate to the batch that birthed the rarest 1984 P. Jefferson nickels known. Could it be that somewhere, hidden in a government vault, lie other examples of this anomaly, locked away in sealed bags, unrecognized and untouched since Reagan was president? Or are they scattered across the country, sitting silently in change jars, forgotten in dresser drawers, or buried in backyard caches, each one a ticking time bomb of value, waiting to be unearthed? As the numismatic world continues to debate, argue, and obsess over the finer points of die diagnostics, copper-nickel blends, and die state evolution, one thing becomes increasingly clear: the 1984 P. Jefferson nickel isn't just a coin, it's a phenomenon, one that blends mystery, history, monetary curiosity, and national intrigue into a single small disc that weighs only 5 grams but carries the weight of 1,000 questions. With each story, each auction, each strange find or disputed authentication, the legend of the 1984 P nickel grows stronger, feeding a wildfire of speculation and fervor that has even drawn in celebrities, Wall Street investors, and private museums offering bounties for confirmed specimens. And yet, despite all the buzz, the truth remains maddeningly elusive. Was it all just a perfect storm of flawed production and random chance? Or was it, as some believe, a purposeful creation by someone inside the mint who knew exactly what they were doing and wanted to leave behind a legacy of numismatic disruption? Some have even floated conspiracy theories, that the coin was part of an abandoned bicentennial commemorative design program and the errors are remnants of transitional dies never meant to be used, or that the anomalies were caused by a mint engraver's revenge against a superior who overruled his design input. And then there's the chilling account of a former mint employee who claimed, on his deathbed, that a small batch of prototype coins was accidentally mixed with the regular strikes, and that only 5 or 6 were ever confirmed to have escaped, and even he didn't know where they went. Every piece of evidence, every twist in this tangled puzzle, adds more urgency to the search, because if even one more of these elusive coins is found and authenticated, it could change the value and legacy of all the rest, potentially making the 1984 P. Jefferson Nickel one of the most valuable coins ever struck by the United States Mint, not because of precious metals, but because of the intoxicating combination of rarity, mystery, error, and history it represents. So as we dig deeper into this astonishing saga, ask yourself, could you be holding one right now, tucked inside an old roll, resting unnoticed at the bottom of a cash register drawer, or hidden in the spare change compartment of your car? Could the rarest 1984 P. Jefferson Nickel, the $1 million mistake, be out there, still unrecognized, still waiting, still whispering its secrets to those patient enough, curious enough, and bold enough to listen? Stay with us until the very end, because what we reveal next may shock even the most seasoned collector, and if you're as fascinated by this story as we are, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us as we continue our quest to uncover the lost legends of American coinage, one unbelievable coin at a time. Next 2006, D Jefferson, where today we unravel the chilling mystery behind one of the most baffling and electrifying stories in modern numismatics, a story that begins with a humble 5-cent piece but spirals into a suspenseful web of forgotten history, federal secrets, collector mania, and a mistake so small it could have easily been overlooked, yet has the power to crown the 2006 D Jefferson Nickel as potentially the most valuable coin ever struck in the United States. And as we peel back the layers of this extraordinary tale, ask yourself this: what if a single misstep deep inside the Denver Mint's industrial core altered the destiny of an entire coin series? What if a misaligned die, an unreported experimental planchet, or a clandestine alteration forever changed the fate of this nickel? What if this unassuming 2006 D Jefferson Nickel harbored a flaw so rare, so anomalous, so completely outside the boundaries of known minting processes that it became the holy grail of modern U.S. coinage, eluding detection for years as it passed from hand to hand in fast food lines, pocket change, and vending machines, its true value masked beneath the monotony of everyday commerce until one sharp-eyed collector stumbled upon a strange glimmer, an oddity in the way the Monticello struck the light, an inconsistency in the rim or a distortion in the legend that shouldn't have been there. And that discovery would not just rock their world, it would ignite a firestorm of speculation, with numismatists scrambling to acquire every 2006 D Jefferson Nickel they could find, dealers poring over bags of bankrolls, and online auctions erupting with fierce bidding wars, as rumors spread of missing steps in the strike process, of coins with doubling so dramatic it appeared as though Jefferson's face had blurred into a spectral mask, of planchets possibly struck on experimental compositions from cancelled foreign contracts, of nickels with inscriptions so faint they seemed ghosted on by invisible hands, of misaligned collars, die clashes, cut breaks, and a bizarre off-center strike pattern that perfectly intersected the word liberty. And the deeper collectors and experts dug, the more unsettling the story became, as FOIA requests turned up mysteriously redacted mint documents from 2006, field reports from whistleblower employees who described chaotic shifts and machine errors that went unreported, of rumors that a batch of error nickels was knowingly released after internal politics prevented a recall that would have cost the mint millions. And then came the whispers from the black market of rare 2006 D nickels that featured a reverse design never officially adopted, one that some claim was an abandoned concept from a proposed Jefferson redesign meant to celebrate the bicentennial of Monticello's completion. A design quietly minted and then ordered destroyed, but not before a handful slipped out, making their way into circulation under unknown circumstances, and the mystery deepened as experts from PCGS and NGC reported grading anomalies, coins that defied classification due to bizarre surface textures, unexplained pitting, microstriations that didn't match any known die polish technique, and unexplained layers of metal that under X-ray fluorescence hinted at foreign alloys, possibly test strikes using leftover blanks from an undisclosed commemorative project. And then came the day when a verified 2006 D Jefferson Nickels sold privately for a figure north of $100,000, setting off a frenzied gold rush that saw collectors raiding old coin jars, metal detectorists sweeping schoolyards and fairgrounds, entire bank branches stripped of nickels by treasure hunters, and stories emerging from basements and attics across the country, tales of forgotten coin collections inherited from grandfathers, jars filled with 2006 D nickels showing unusual frosting, warped steps on Monticello, strange toning never seen before on a copper-nickel alloy, of elderly women finding ultra-rare varieties in sewing tins and young children unknowingly spending fortunes at ice cream trucks, while online forums exploded with debates between skeptics who claimed these errors were overblown and believers who pointed to mounting photographic evidence, third-party authentications, and historical records suggesting a production run of test coins that was never officially acknowledged by the mint, and then, as if torn from a thriller novel, a retired mint engineer anonymously posted detailed schematics and internal memos hinting at a catastrophic press malfunction in mid-2006 that triggered emergency repair protocols which may have inadvertently struck thousands of defective coins using improperly secured dies, further fueling theories that at least three major error types, widely spaced doubling, die cap indentations, and a transitional planchet variety, are all clustered around the Denver facility during a narrow window of that year, and with every new discovery the mystery only thickens, as one collector found a coin struck slightly off-center with a clearly visible, floating roof error on Monticello's dome, a detail never seen in official designs, leading some to believe the mint briefly experimented with a modified die to correct a mechanical weakness before reverting without documentation, while another stumbled upon a specimen with the D mint mark entirely missing yet verified as genuine through metal composition analysis, raising questions about whether a rogue batch escaped quality control due to the mint's simultaneous handling of multiple coin programs in 2006, and then there are those who speculate about internal sabotage, rogue employees intentionally altering dies or slipping out rare coins in protest of budget cuts, and others who believe the 2006 D nickel is the product of a long-forgotten secret commemorative series that was aborted at the last second, its prototype dies repurposed by mistake, and every coin recovered only deepens the legend as no two error nickels are ever quite alike, some bearing deep die cracks like lightning bolts across Jefferson's face, others with misaligned letters that give Liberty an eerie, collapsing look, and still others with die chips so massive they give the illusion of an extra earlobe or distorted eye, all while collectors and treasure hunters chase leads, compare microscopic differences, and attend auctions where a single coin's price might skyrocket due to a newly uncovered anomaly, as stories abound of one being found in the cup holder of a rusted-out car, another beneath floorboards during a home renovation, another in a casino payout tray in Reno, each story more surreal than the last, and as museums begin to quietly inquire about acquiring specimens for future exhibits on the Great Nickel Mystery, and numismatic historians warn that many of these ultra-rare errors may already be lost forever to circulation and time, the hunt becomes all the more desperate, all the more fevered, because what we now know is that the 2006 D Jefferson Nickel is no longer just a coin, it is a living mystery, a riddle struck in metal, a symbol of how a tiny, almost imperceptible minting mistake can trigger a nationwide obsession, and as more stories come to light and more varieties are uncovered, each bearing its own signature error or oddity, we are left to wonder how many remain hidden, how many are sitting in desk drawers or cash registers as we speak. How many are still out there waiting to be discovered, and what staggering price the next confirmed specimen might command, so if you think the era of valuable coins is over, think again, because the next multi-million-dollar treasure may be jangling in your change right now. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to join us on the next great coin mystery. Next 1993 P. Jefferson, where today we unravel a mystery so perplexing, so steeped in numismatic obsession and government mystery, that it might just change everything you thought you knew about coin collecting, for buried deep within the chronicles of American coinage lies a peculiar and almost forgotten artifact, the 1993 D Jefferson Nickel, a coin so deceptively ordinary in appearance yet potentially the result of a confluence of minting errors, bureaucratic oversights, historical coincidences, and perhaps even deliberate concealment, raising the electrifying question, what if a small, almost imperceptible mistake made this the most valuable coin ever struck? Picture this, it's 1993, the Philadelphia Mint is operating under high pressure, fulfilling massive production quotas, while also quietly undergoing transitional equipment updates, die replacements, and shifts in quality control standards, a chaotic cocktail ripe for anomalies. And out of that chaos emerged a coin that at first glance seemed like any other Jefferson nickel but carried within its metallic DNA a series of telltale signs that numismatists, collectors, and historians have been trying to decipher for decades. Could this be the ghost coin, the unintentional result of a double-denomination experiment, or even a clandestine test strike that was never meant to enter circulation? Reports began surfacing in the mid-2000s from sharp-eyed collectors who noticed unusual characteristics on certain 1993 P nickels, odd die clashes, ghostly doubling on Jefferson's profile, missing steps on Monticello, unusually thick planchets, misaligned mint marks, and even traces of foreign metal compositions that suggested either contamination or intentional experimentation, sparking a wildfire of speculation across collector communities, online forums, and auction houses as experts began to chase leads, each one more confounding than the last, with some claiming the anomalies were the result of leftover planchets from discontinued denominations, while others believed they were early prototypes for changes the mint was planning for later years, and still others whispered about rogue employees who may have struck coins using retired dies or experimental blanks after hours, creating a handful of untraceable rarities that slipped into circulation unnoticed, until now, when one surfaced in a humble coin jar in a Pennsylvania basement and shook the numismatic world to its core by selling at a private auction for over $85,000, verified by metallurgical analysis to contain trace elements of silver and zinc not typical of standard 1993 compositions, igniting a fervor among collectors as the floodgates of mystery were flung open and dozens more came forward with similar stories of odd 1993 P nickels they had stored away without second thought, leading experts to theorize that the anomaly may not be isolated but part of a limited run or even a botched experimental batch that was never documented officially, prompting questions about just how many exist, where they might be hidden, and why the U.S. Mint has remained silent on the matter, refusing to comment despite growing media pressure and Freedom of Information Act requests, adding yet another layer of enigma and fueling conspiracies that perhaps these coins were intentionally struck with altered dies during a shadow project meant to test alternate compositions for future cost-saving initiatives, and when that project was aborted, the test strikes were supposed to be destroyed but a few made it out either by accident or by design, carried in pockets or lunchboxes or intentionally dispersed to obscure their origin, and over time they became indistinguishable from ordinary nickels except to the trained eye. Yet their true value lies in their rarity, their story, and the possibility that they were never supposed to exist in the first place, creating a perfect storm of scarcity, controversy, and intrigue that has transformed the humble 1993 P. Jefferson Nickel into a Grail-level artifact, with collectors obsessively scanning rolls, examining the most minute details under microscopes, looking for ghostly doubling, misaligned rims, incomplete Monticello steps, or subtle shifts in coloration, knowing that a single correct find could change their lives forever, as was the case for a retired schoolteacher in Ohio who unknowingly spent decades using one of the rare 1993 P varieties to buy coffee at the same gas station, only to have a cashier discover it years later and recognize the telltale shimmer of a die clash, leading to a media frenzy and a six-figure payout from a private collector who believed it was one of just 6 known examples bearing a triple die reverse and an off-center strike. But the deeper one digs, the stranger it gets, with tales emerging of early mint memos referencing unaccounted-for blanks and internal quality control reports from 1993 citing inconsistent weight measurements and die-to-planchet fit issues, hinting that the mint may have long suspected the existence of these oddities yet chose to bury the evidence to avoid public scrutiny or institutional embarrassment. Yet no matter how hard the truth is buried, It keeps surfacing in the hands of collectors who refuse to let the story die, like a Florida teenager who found a 1993 P nickel lodged in the upholstery of a thrift store couch, only to realize it bore an inverted reverse die that matched no known configuration, causing yet another uproar and prompting renewed examination of thousands of archived mint records by hobbyist historians, each page yielding cryptic clues and incomplete inventories that suggest certain production runs were never properly documented, fueling speculation that these nickels may have been struck during a gap period when the mint was switching suppliers or transitioning machines. And if that's true, then the number of surviving examples could be drastically smaller than anyone imagined, increasing their rarity exponentially and drawing in deep-pocketed investors and coin funds who are now quietly buying up every questionable 1993 P nickel they can find, driving prices up and adding yet more heat to the fire, all while the general public remains largely unaware that one of the most potentially valuable coins in American history may be sitting in their junk drawer, hiding in plain sight, camouflaged among billions of its common siblings, waiting to be recognized, authenticated, and revered, and as the legend grows, so too does the mythos surrounding the 1993 P Jefferson Nickel. Some believe it to be a coin that broke all the rules and survived against the odds. Others see it as a symbol of institutional failure and the chaos that can emerge from bureaucratic systems stretched to their limits, while a few insist it's merely the tip of a much deeper iceberg of undocumented coinage errors and experimental releases from the U.S. Mint's shadowy history, and as collectors pore over blurry photos, obscure auction records, and whispered tales of backroom deals, the allure only deepens, turning every trip to the coin machine, every glance through a pocketful of change, into a potential treasure hunt, a moment of destiny, a once-in-a-lifetime chance to uncover what might be the most accidentally valuable piece of metal ever circulated. So as the mystery continues to unfold and the clues mount, remember that the next great discovery could be sitting right in your palm, and if this story captivated you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because we're just getting started, and the world of rare coins holds even more secrets than anyone dares to believe.